So then, good morning. Before we go into the main body, the meditation, which is meditation on praise, craving after praise, and we covered some lines on that, particularly on Monday, last Monday, to just do meditation on this subject of praise. That we start the meditation firstly with some minutes of focusing the mind, using the breath to do this, and here to motivate well, to make the determination to keep the mind in the present moment. So we're not doing this focusing practice for very long. not very long, but to try to do it well, try to put motivation into the idea that if we're able to bring the mind into the present moment, we're best placed in order to do the main body of the meditation, and best placed in order to receive the benefit of today's teachings and benefit from the discussion group and tutorial. If we really put some effort into this understanding, the best thing that we can do at this point of time is to try to remain in the present moment, developing here the habit of letting go of past and planning for the future while we're engaged in the focusing practice, and to not be distracted by the multiplicity of events that may arise while we're engaged in this focusing practice, while at the same time remaining relaxed while we're doing it. So if you already have a method that you use, then to employ that. Otherwise, one way is to be aware of the sensation of the air passing in and passing out, and trying to remain focused on the experience of this, the sensation of the air coming in and going out, while at the same time being alert to the different distractions that arise, to note these, not to get swept up by them, nor try to suppress them, just to be aware of their arisal, that they're like bubbles rising to the surface of a pond, allowing them to arise and abide and then pass away. And our business here is to bring our mind back to focusing on the breath. So then, continuing like this for the first part of this meditation session. So then coming to the main body of the meditation is the subject of praise and the attitude, the mind of craving after praise or craving after sweet, ego-pleasing words. So this is something really we can work on and bring about positive changes to ourselves, something we can come to see how it is that craving after praise is a source of problems. Seeing it within our own experience, observing in the case of other people, and then really changing, bring about change to our mind so that it isn't so strongly conditioned by this neediness, this craving mind that sees praise as something which is essential. Otherwise, if we don't do something about this, although we may have an adult body, in fact, as we grow older, we won't be much different to the young child who runs to their mummy or daddy and asks to be praised, expects to be praised for the work that they've done in their colouring book or art book. We remain the same, adult body, but child mind. Do we really want to be like this? And if we have this need, this craving need to receive praise, to hear the sweet, ego-pleasing words of praise, because we can't control other people's actions and thinking and speech, then no matter what we do, we aren't necessarily going to get the praise that we yearn. And if we have a yearning and craving for praise, inevitably we will also be upset by criticism. So if we don't do something about this, we will remain unstable emotionally, unstable and insecure. We will be liable to such states as depression. And then have a tendency towards anger when we don't get the words that we yearn for. And then we will cultivate the mind of jealousy towards those who've received the praise and we don't receive the praise. They get more praise than we do. So it leads to the mind of jealousy. And then it leads to a quality of competitiveness with others, that we also want to compete with others and get as much praise as them. If they got the praise, then we should also get it. And then it can lead to contempt towards those who get less praise than us. we become puffed up and full of pride about our achievement, about the words and the recognition that have come from others. And others are less. Then in the process of all this, we create a lot of negativity and habituate the mind in the neediness for praise. We create negative karma in order to receive the words of praise. We may act deceptively in order to be praised. We may walk all over other people in order to be praised. And then with this mind of neediness, attachment to praise, our mind becomes more deeply obscured. So we've got an attachment mind, strong, clinging, insecure mind, which obscures our mind and prevents us from developing the mind of loving kindness and compassion, seeing others as beings that we should love, wish to have happiness and wish compassion, wish them to be free from suffering, rather seeing them as beings that should praise us, attached to that person because they say nice words about us. And do we want to be in intimate relationships where we're so insecure we get upset with our partner because they didn't praise us enough or don't praise us enough? So we can take ourselves back to our childhood, or even if it's not our experience, we sense this, the education system, current education system in the West, that seems to emphasize the importance of self-esteem. And of course, in Buddhism, it is important to have self-esteem, positive self-esteem. But in Buddhism, self-esteem comes as a byproduct of spiritual practice. It's not pursued as such, but by our cultivation of the mind, which is less afflicted by attachment, anger, so on, positive self-worth arises. We come to like ourselves. And then as we cultivate the positive states of mind, loving, kindness, compassion, wisdom, it also nurtures this positive self-view. And as we see ourselves going from dark to lightness, there is a positive self-esteem that abides with us, remains with us, cannot be taken from us, is stable. But in the education, mainstream education, and they seem to encourage this view, it's important for children to have self-esteem, and therefore we must praise children. It's not to say it isn't wrong to praise, but when you're cultivating a habit in the child of an addiction to praise, the child can't survive without praise. It can't feel happy without praise. You're setting the child up for a lot of unhappiness, and into adulthood also a lot of problems. So it's not too difficult to see this. And so we have the opportunity to become not child adults, but adult adults, by letting go, relinquishing the mind that needs praise. So you can see the insecurity if you're setting a child up for the need for praise, that whatever it is, it performs the child in terms of artwork or skills or intellectual stuff or sports or whatever, the need to be praised for what they do. Then what happens when, other kids do better than them, or if the child isn't very, very good at any of these areas, and so doesn't receive praise, but all the time other kids receive praise. And it's based on that, just simply on those words, that child has a sense of self-loathing and a sense of failure, and comes to believe that they're inherently worthless. So it's not too difficult to see through this, but important to be able to see through it. And then the formation of that child's personality as it goes through, even if you're the child who is more praised, gets more praise because of your capacities, you're very intelligent, you're very good at sport, a lot of praise. And your happiness is dependent upon that. What happens when another kid comes along that's better? Or you lose your capacities, you injure yourself or something in sport. So you can't do that anymore. Some people will end up suiciding. So it's important for us to integrate this Buddhist understanding that self-esteem comes from internal development rather than on something superficial like praise, for us to have a positive influence in the society. So then to even imagine we can free ourselves to have that mind that's less and less dependent upon praise. Whether we receive praise or don't receive praise, it's not a big deal. We have the Dharma, and we gain our security. Our refuge is in the Dharma. Our refuge is in the inner transformation. And so we become more stable, more able to deal with various difficulties, criticism, not getting praise. Our mind remains stable and happy. So we're less likely to get irritated and angry. Develop the skill of the mind being undisturbed, regardless of what people say about us. And so this is important for us too, as Dharma students, because although we may be involved in Dharma for a long time and receive such profound teachings as this, that doesn't mean to say that we haven't got the mind that craves after praise. And so it can be the case that people working in a Dharma center, doing things which benefit others, it's true, people get benefit from that. But the motivation of the person can be a motivation of wanting to receive praise, needing to be recognized. And it may be appropriate, it should be appropriate perhaps to give the person praise. But from the side of us as a practitioner in the center who's doing things, it's extremely unwise for us to be motivated by a need for praise, doing things for that reason. Because you have the situation in Dharma centers, people give their time, give their money, sacrifice many things for the sake of the center. But it can be motivated by a need for praise. And so if this is the case, and they don't receive the praise, disappointment occurs. And this happens in all the centers. Disappointment occurs. Resentment occurs. I did all this and I wasn't recognized. And then they can leave the center with a mind of resentment. I put in all that effort. I gave my time there, and I wasn't recognized. Or someone else got more recognition than me. At the event, someone else's name was mentioned, but my name wasn't mentioned. Or in the article in your newsletter, the other person got more praise than I got. Or worse still, I didn't get a mention at all. So that's the last time I help. And so this is important because if we are a person who tends to do many things, actively engages in activities to benefit the center, externally doing many things, there can be a risk that we're not reflecting on our mind and our motivation. So we can't even see it, that what we're motivated by is a craving to receive the praise, sweet ego-pleasing words, rather than being motivated to benefit others. So then, just in conclusion then, this subject of praise is a wonderful one because it's something we can really see how it's a baby's mind, see how it causes problems. And that by recognizing that, we can really bring about a change in our mind so that there is less of a need for praise. And we'll be so much better off for being free of this craving, insecure mind. And so then just to dedicate whatever positive results from meditating in this way towards affecting our mind in a positive way. So we don't have that infantile need for praise. And thereby become a more stable person, more stable, happy person, and thereby accomplish the happiness of oneself and others. Okay, so thank you.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.